Imagine if leadership and development was a uniting factor for people towards a certain achievement. When people set aside their political differences and affront a cause that will benefit everyone.
What does omuntu wa wansi see as development in Entebbe?
Mbuuza meya akyegana, tawuni kiraka akyegana.
Who is the problem now?
Ensonga eno ejja kuggwa.
That is politics.
Era tetulina kyakulya n'ekya tekigenda kubaawo.
Ate ne President Museveni bannanga akyali baby.
Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. as we discuss matters in Entebbe, the first Uganda's colonial capital, and what it deserves. Well, thank you very much for joining us this beautiful morning, a Saturday, the 21st of May. We are almost halfway there, and that means that a lot must have moved on in the country. And as far as we started, more expectations we had as human beings. I want to say thank you very much for tuning in once again. Those who are watching us online, YouTube, Facebook, Media Lab, Kumba Times, and many others. You make us proud, and we're always also proud to come here every Saturday to share with you what we have. This beautiful morning, we are going to do more of analysis and less of discussions like we've had in the past, and we say this is a special report, a special kind of engagement that we want to have today. As we understand later on, of course, I will be joined by my other colleagues who will be also contributing to this show. And today we have taken a health direction after yesterday the President, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni General, launched 12 marine ambulance boats that will be supporting the island communities in the country, actually 12 districts. And among them, we're talking about Kalangala, Buvuma, Ntoroko, Mukono, Namaingo, Kabale, and many others, of course, that have received these ambulances. But we want to understand and draw, we want to paint a picture of what this means, especially for the health facilities that have more efforts to do in as far as saving humanity. And we'll be diving into that conversation. But just briefs of what happened on the launch. The President himself, alongside other government dignitaries, the support partners like UNICEF. I saw UNICEF. I also saw the Minister of Health, Minister of Works and Transport. Officials also represent or attend the function when the President was launching this. And a lot was discussed. But the President, in his remarks on the event, made it very clear that, as a country, we are focusing a lot. We are paying a lot of attention on creating the emergency response services. But there is a mechanism that we can come up with. Perhaps if it's accident, the fatal accidents that we're seeing nowadays, claiming lives and property, it is just as a result of some reckless individuals. The people who wake up to drive, and I mean you and I, you drive on the road, but you're so reckless and you do not value other people's lives. You do not take the value of the pedestrians. You do not take the value of other road users, the drivers, so you end up actually costing other people's lives. You've seen this last time, let me say a week ago, when we lost many people in the Link bus, many others, Mbale Road, and also the western side of it. But of course, all this, he said, is if some people can just take it out of them, the redundancy, the kind of thinking that they have not to value other people's lives. And that's a conversation that he also brought in on table. But the other, of course, government dignitaries, yes, I also saw the chairperson of the Health Committee of Parliament, that's Dr. Charles Ayume, also came out to say that instead of creating, the emergency services, instead of us having ambulances that will support these island communities, we can also enhance the capacity of the lower health facilities that are into these islands, and we have the patients not brought to the mainland, but they're being treated from there. And now we want to draw this back home to Entebbe Regional Referral Hospital, which is a home to, a referral center to 5 districts. 5 districts have to refer their major cases to Entebbe Regional Referral, which has only a capacity of 200 beds. What does this mean? We saw this from the past when COVID came. This became a major treatment center to COVID-19. The index case was admitted there, and from that, it became a really major COVID treatment center. So we're asking ourselves, as transport is being eased from the islands to the mainland, which is Entebbe, let's say the 5 districts that I said, Kalangala, Vuvuma is among those 5. apart from the Butambala and Mpigi, which also refer their cases. So as we are going to be referring these cases to Entebbe Regional Referral Hospital, do we have the capacity? Actually, last time I was listening to the hospital director who was just, transferred. That's Dr. Moses Mwanga. That the COVID-19 patients did not leave the hospital the same. Some of the equipments were vandalized, and among them, he talked about beds. Some beds were broken, and many other things that needed major repairs. And actually, this beautiful morning, we are trying to liaise and see if we could talk to the new hospital director. But we have found a bit of challenges because you were supposed to come to us on Zoom, and we have lost out on that. But nevertheless, I just want you to listen to some of the comments, submissions that were made by some members of parliament yesterday after the president launched the 12 marine ambulance boats, and we will get back after this.
Budget y'omwaka ogenda okutandika bwe twajja wano okulaba ambulance okusooka baatubuulira ebyetaago byazo, era mu budget y'omwaka guno egenda okutandika twaziteeramu amafuta lwakubeera buli lunaku bagamba nti buli ambulance esobola okukozesa lita 150 ate olabye bagambye nti ekozesa 2 okuva wali okujja eno ku malwaliro. Naye tujja kwongera nga parliament okusaba okussa sente okomitinga sente ezimala okulabirira ambulance ezo. Nekirala ekikulu aba gavumenti ez'ebitundu balaze obwetaavu bwabwe. Gavumenti yeetaaga training abamakanika ba yingini za ambulance ezo wadde empya naye zijja kufuna obuzibu era nazo ng'amaato amalala gabe nga gasobola okulabirirwa. Naye kye twegeezaamu nga b'empi b'ennyanja nti naago amaato ba district leaders ge batuganye gyegali tegayina yingini. Gavumenti ekomitinga esente okugagulira yingini eza outboard gayambengako supplementing ambulance ezo zisobola okutwala abalwadde naye nga n'amaato amalala gasobola ero ziyambako ziri expensive naye n'amaato agasoboka ag'esente eno gabe nga gakola.
First, we want to really thank the government of Uganda for once thinking about the fishing community, which forms 20% of the population of this country. Thinking about their health, thinking about their emergencies, and providing the ambulance. I think first things first, what we needed was the ambulance, and we have it. The issue of maintenance and servicing and how we are going to use it, the Ministry of Health has put it very clearly to us that they are going to come up with a strategy and a policy of how we are going to use this.
Ekikulu ekisooka nti ambulances tuzifunye okukola ku byenkolagana wakati wa ministry ne local government ekyo kisoboka kubanga MOU abagikola bantu ate era bakulembeze. Kye tulina okusooka okwebaza gavumenti nti erowoozezza ku bantu balunnyanja babadde batawaana nti ambulances ezisinga tuzigula ne tuziteeka wabweru emmotoka muziraba naye era nga abantu okuvaayo mu bizinga okuconnectinga ku landing sites kizibu. Kati wakati wa ministry ya health ne wakati wa local government enkolagana eyo tujja giteekawo ng'ababaka ba parliament kubanga yo gavumenti etugulidde etuwadde kati engeri ambulance gye tugenda okukolamu tulina okukwatagana ng'abakulembeze because fena tusavinga gavumenti emu ate objective eri omu yakola ki yakutaasa abantu baffe aba batuukiddwako obuzibu.
Okay, those are some of the MPs raising their concerns in regards to the launch of these 12 marine ambulance boats that have been given to the 12 districts. Like I earlier said, just before the break, I forgot to say one thing, that the Minister of Health, through the Permanent Secretary and the Minister herself, Jen Ruth Cheng, were able to also tell the President, they submitted that there were some other 11 boats that had earlier been given to 11 districts. And as we speak now, in 10 years, all those ones have broken down, the engines have been stolen. And that was their submission to the President. They also left a hanging question that what is going to be the mechanism of maintaining these roads? And not before that, like you had some of the members were saying that the boat consumes 200 liters of fuel from Entebbe to go to Kalangala and evacuate someone. And 200 liters, as we ask ourselves, we've seen cases when ambulances run out of fuel, complaints that have been launched in the past. You go to a health facility and you need an ambulance, you need the ambulance services, but they say we do not have fuel. So it again raises more questions. Who is going to be fueling? Is it the Ministry of Health that is going to be fueling these ambulances? Can a local man in Ivuvuma sell his chicken? Can he sell his fish and be able to buy 200 liters to use the marine boat that has been given out. And nevertheless, also the Minister of Health, through the Permanent Secretary again, were able to say that they lacked the capacity as a ministry to have the boat ambulance drivers, the engineers that were to take care of them, and so they had to sign a memorandum of understanding with the UPDF Marine section and the police. But that has again raised more questions on social media. I was reading some of them on social media yesterday, and people are asking, is it another of militarizing even the health services in the country? But we know that, of course, the UPDF has always come out in the open to say they are able to support each and every institution of government to see that they serve. Their efforts are felt, their relevance is drawn to serving the nation. But people need some other clarification. Is it going to be easy for a man to approach the UPDF Marine section and say, I need to evacuate my people in the lake, and it is as easy as you going to any other institution of government and you're given those services? Those are questions that, of course, we may perhaps at a later time seek clarification from the stakeholders there. But still, we also say the conversation is still running up and down in the special analysis. We're doing more of analysis, less of discussions today. And later on, I will be joined by my colleague, Joanna Akello. She was interacting with one of, some of the members of parliament who are attending the launch of these marine ambulance boats. But we'll get back to her shortly after this commercial break.
Entebbe, the land of freshness, fresh breeze, fresh water, fresh weather, and fresh foods. Entebbe is not just the gateway to Uganda, but also fresh foods supplied from 81 Sese Islands in Lake Victoria. Fresh foods from the garden to Chitoro Market and straight to your home. Visit Chitoro Market in Entebbe, Uganda's first capital for all your fresh foods.
Welcome to Entebbe. Uganda's first colonial capital, the home of recreation and tourism. Meet its welcoming people and enjoy the fresh winds from Lake Victoria. Well, we'll be back from that commercial break. We're doing a special edition today, more of analysis, less of discussions like we've done in the past. Today we've a little bit had to adjust on to the program. I earlier said that after the break we'll be straight, listen to our colleague Joanna Akello, who was at the event yesterday and was able to speak to some of the members of parliament who were attending to give some of the views on what they think about the boats that were launched, and will they be able to support the community, the communities that they serve. And my producer tells me Joanna Akello is ready. Let her get to us and tell us what really happened. Joanna Akello.
Thank you, Ivan. And yes, the issue of marine ambulances is a very important topic for the people in the islands, and those who come from Entebbe and other islands that are nearby will understand what it really means to have a water boat ambulance. How are you evacuated when there's an emergency, when there is an accident? 2 weeks ago we had 9 people rescued. Thank God they jumped on a rock when the boat capsized. So some of these incidents have been happening, but then the island communities have been complaining. How do we move a patient from, let's say, Bugoye to, let's say, the main island in Bugala, in Kalangala? How do you move someone from Buvuma to wherever? So it's important that the Ministry of Health has told the country now that there are going to be 12 boats, and they're going to be in the different districts, the ones that have islands. And with me, I have the committee chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Health. And he has been someone who has been lobbying for these marine ambulances. Even he went to Entebbe some time back and he went to see for himself that these marine boats were there. You're welcome to the show, Dr. Ayume.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So, Doctor, what can you tell us about these marine boats and the importance? And because you're a doctor, what is the importance of these marine boats, and what is the government trying to achieve by putting these boats in some of these island districts?
Well, thank you very much. My name is Dr. Charles Ayume, Chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Health, and I'm a Member of Parliament for Koboko Municipality. Now, basically what an ambulance does is simply to evacuate a person from one point where the emergency or accident has occurred to a point of care. Now, islands are not any different. They also experience emergencies. So the boat ambulances are supposed to evacuate emergencies from islands to points of care on the mainland. So you saw the president commissioning these boat ambulances, and there were two categories. Some had basic resuscitation equipment, and then there were two that had advanced resuscitation equipment. And they'll definitely be distributed to the fishing communities across the country. Now, I must tell you that having ambulances is one thing, but I told you it is to evacuate from point A to point B. Point B is a point of care. So we also have to look at addressing the point of care, which is the hospitals and the trauma centers, in terms of human resource, in terms of equipment, and in terms of also medicine and consumables.
Now, Honorable, when you talk about point of care, for instance, Kalangala, it has a health center for in Bugala Island, the main island. But then also because communities have been complaining, how do I move from this island to the main island? They have issues, the transport costs are high. And now there were issues. They said, why doesn't government upgrade that health center 4 to maybe that health center 3 to a health center 4 or something? They want it upgraded to a full hospital, a general hospital. And I don't know what are the other needs of the other island districts. Are they the same? For you as the Committee of Health, what are you considering for these communities now that they have got marine boats?
Thank you very much. Running health services on islands is a challenge, and we cluster them as hard to reach areas because of that component of water. Now, I don't think the issue of Kalangala or Buvuma or any hard to reach place is building a hospital, but I think this infrastructure that is there, the structures that are there can be improved. And you heard me in my speech saying that can we improve the health center force and give them a range of services, ensure they have maybe ultrasound scans, x-ray machines, because we know the usual suspects that cause emergency services. One of them is emergency obstetric care. 2 is accidents. 3 is cardiovascular accidents, the high blood pressure and so forth. So we can ensure that we equip these facilities to be able to handle the basic components of those emergency services. And like for a border accident, if you put an x-ray in Kalangala Health Center 4 or Buvuma Health Center 4, then you don't have to transfer somebody to the mainland for an x-ray. So that's the point I'm trying to say. Let's ensure that health center 4s function, we equip them, give them the human resource, drugs, and so forth.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ayume. I know Koboko doesn't have a lake around it, but thank you for lobbying for the fishing communities.
Yes, but it was not only fishing communities, because it is marine ambulances, but the principle is also the same for road ambulances. That however much we invest in ambulances, as long as we have not addressed the prevention side of it, what is causing the accidents, reckless driving and all that. And the interesting thing is that Ministry of Health takes the beating. The Honorable Minister takes the beating. But some of the problems are housed in other sectors, like accidents is not a problem of Ministry of Health, it's a ministry of the transport sector. So let them put their house in order. Issues of non-communicable diseases. Do we allow certain foods to come through? Should we have taxes on gym equipment lifted? All those kind of things. If we address them, I think the future is bright for this country.
So it means that it's supposed to be a multi-sectoral thing. It shouldn't just be Ministry of Health.
Yes, it is multi-sectoral. We can't shoulder the problems, the health problems of the country. They are preventable, and most of them are housed in other sectors.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Ayume. Thank you very much. I also have Honorable Moses Kabusu. He's the Chamuswa County MP. He belongs to FDC, Forum for Democratic Change, and in Kalangala District. Honorable, welcome to the show.
My chairman LC5 is NUP,
Okay.
and my woman member of parliament is NUP.
Now,
so when the president said that people of Kalangala voted for him, people who can advise him, I was very glad.
He said that he doesn't understand you.
Those are the people who advise him better, you know, the people who think wise for him.
Now, Honorable, what do you say about the marine ambulances? What has been the challenge?
Now, like Dr. Ayume in his speech had said, with ambulances, they would help to manage a case from where it is hard to manage it to where it can be managed. Now, with us in water surrounded districts, we didn't have this facility. You realize that Kalangala is constituted of 84 counted islands, of which 61 are inhabited. Now imagine, it is only one island that is motorable. The other islands are not motorable and they have no connection of that capacity, whether the basic or the sophisticated, as they have been explaining. Now we do think that when there are cases to be managed at a referral level, there is capacity now and competence to manage these cases, meanwhile, as they head to either to Entebbe, or the choice is theirs. Referrals, medical health institutions work with each other. They can choose to refer to Entebbe or to Masaka, but with speed and maybe quickness that is desirable. So we are looking for this. It is not enough, but one they will have given us will be a starting point. And those of us MPs, we are going now to advocate more, that in the coming budgets, we can also do further. You will see now, here, members of parliament on the mainland can buy, they call it Class F ambulances with some basics, but you can't do it in a boat, in an ordinary boat. This is sophisticated enough. Let's see how it works. It's only expensive to run. Government ever bought boats through development partners, which they gave to our districts, but they were hard to manage, and you have heard. They are saying they were stolen, they were what, but those boats are existing, only they can't manage them.
So what is hard? The fuel, what is the maintenance, what is the problem? And how much does it cost to run these things?
Not, you know, we are now talking about a situation where fuel prices are high, but not even in the situation of where fuel prices are high. Even before, when they were manageable, it was expensive to run a boat. Imagine 200 liters for a patient who has to antenatal challenges, patients with cardiovascular challenge. If a boat has to ply 2 days or with 2 or 3 patients, no local government can afford that. No local government can afford that. It is expensive on water, and the government has been avoiding to find potential on traveling on water. If they had developed water transport, that there were connectivity, maybe a patient who would not go today would be going tomorrow if there were transport. But we have been complaining, government took away Chamuswa ship in 1996 to date. We have never got a ship to ply between these other smaller islands in Kalangala. So it is expensive to run them, and mechanics or the technical part of it, there are no experts in dealing with the mechanics of these engines. So there are people, he called them Katwe, His Excellency, Katwe people. These Katwe people manage around and try around, but they are no experts to manage these engines. And these other boats you see here, grounded, even at a marine base here, they have just simple mechanical challenges, but they can't repair them. And our worry is that a sophisticated equipment may serve us, but it has risks also to run it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Honorable Kabusu. Let me also get the LC5 chairman of Kalangala, Mr. Rajab Semakula. Local government. Now the people you're going to announce, you've got marine ambulances. First of all, how much as local government have you put in your budget for next financial year to run this marine boat?
Actually, these
marine ambulance.
These marine ambulances are not decentralized. That is it. The boats which they are talking about, that was in the local governments were given to the local governments without funding, without funds. So it became expensive for the local governments to run them. Up to this moment, those boats are there. Actually, in every budget, we planned for the guarding of the boat that was given to us by the central government. But we cannot run it. Let's talk about the routine immunization. We cannot fuel it. We opt for these small wooden boats which we can afford to fuel. Thank to the government that it has come to the real senses to think about the islanders by providing these marine ambulances. But we also pray that they consistently fuel them, because if they do not fuel them, it will also end up like the other boats they gave us in the local governments. There is some gaps which I know we shall bridge them slowly by slowly with the management, because if you look at the MOU that was made, it was between the 4 ministries. The local governments was excluded. We don't know where these marine ambulances will go straight to the communities where patients are not supposed to be referred, because you know the health centers, the doctors, the medics are the one to refer the cases that this one is beyond our capacity to handle, so it should be referred. But the DHOs, the district leadership is not included anywhere. Let's hope they will amend the MOUs so that we can provide good services to our communities over the islands.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Semakula. And we also have the Kalangala woman MP, Helen Nachimuli, who, Honorable Helen Nachimuli, yes, representing the women of Kalangala. Hello, Honorable, how are you?
I'm okay, how are you?
Great. I have heard you in the parliament talking about marine ambulances. It seems actually your campaign was full of, we are going to do this, we are going to do that. There's even a time you got stuck in the water for some good hours. Tell us, how many hours?
12 and a half hours.
What had happened to the boat?
The engine got a mechanical problem and I had to sail. There was no rescue, there was nobody to help us, there was no internet, no network, so I had to sail for about 12 and a half hours until when fishermen came and helped us to the shore.
So do you think this marine, if this marine ambulance that Kalangala is receiving was on the water, it would have been easy to evacuate you? Or how would you people have even communicated?
I don't think it would have been easy, because we definitely don't have coordination. We don't have those, what do they call them, boosters, codes, GPS for, you see, when they say marine, it means these people have to be moving around the water to look around and see, are our people safe? Are our people okay on the lake? But this doesn't happen, even in the night. That is when engines are stolen. People's nets are stolen out of the water. So because that is not happening, that is why I got stuck on the lake. Okay. I believe if we had that ambulance before, definitely I would not be helped, because there is no that coordination. You cannot read from a distance that somebody has a problem.
But we are taught about how to say you to make a call of distress when you're on the water, or anyway, you're supposed to. There are things we're supposed to do when you want to make a call of distress.
Like what? You can't call. You can't make a phone call because you have no network. There is no network around here, and also the signs you do on the lake are doing this. You have a jerry can and you do this for somebody to see you, but it was in the night. No one could see me, and at that time there was no fish in the lake. People were not on the lake fishing, so there was nobody to help me out. Yeah.
So you're rescued in the morning of sorts?
At 8 a.m. Yeah. I was on the lake from 7:30. I sailed until the middle. I got stuck and stayed there. Actually slept until 8 a.m. Some fishermen who were going to Kome came at around 6:30. They said they didn't have enough fuel. They could definitely not take us to Entebbe. So they left. Another one came and said, you see, now my engine is very small. I cannot be able to push you That one left until 8 a.m. when a bigger boat came. They had a bigger engine of 15 horsepower, and they were able to pull us to the lake shore. Yes.
So you have a real experience of getting stuck on that lake. What does this marine ambulance mean for the community in Kalangala, and what do you hope will be done in a few minutes?
You see, when I was campaigning, I was telling my people that the 10th Parliament passed money for ambulances, not only on the land but also on the water. But we were not seeing them. We were only saying that they are on their way, but they were not anywhere. It was in the papers and on social media. I went to the floor of Parliament. I explained. This is when now serious work started. The health committee came to Entebbe with us to inspect, and before you know it, we found the ambulances. They were not there before. This means our energy, we put in a lot of energy, we made noise, we clamored for this to come to us. And I thank the Almighty God, and I thank also the Ministry of Health for, coming out to our plea. They understood what we are going through, they understood what our people are going through, and they have given us these ambulances. Well, we expect this ambulance to be effective. We expect it to go to all the 84 islands, but now issue is fuel. People have been saying now fuel. We have gotten this, let us first embrace it. I embrace the ambulance because I clamored so much for it, and my people are going to embrace it. But now, issue is, if you say it is going to stay here, it will be costly. So I propose they go to the district headquarters. Another issue is, if we say there is a lot of fuel going to be used, we can cut on these costs by government giving Kalangala a hospital. If you give Kalangala a hospital, it means the people who would have been brought from Kalangala to Entebbe, or from Kalangala to Kampala, from Kalangala to Masaka, that cost would have been cut. If they're coming from, say, Chamuswa, Nkose, Mazinga is Nkose, Lujabwa, if they're coming from Bobeke, Jana, and they all go to maybe Kalangala, where there is now the health center for. And we have a hospital in Kalangala, or we call it Kalangala, but Bujumba constituency, or on Bugala Island. It is easier to access than Kampala. You will find that we'll just need about 60 liters of fuel, 70 to Kalangala Health Center, to the hospital. But if you say, we are not going to give you a hospital, and you're saying it is too expensive, you foot the bill. You give us the fuel, because Kalangala contributes 2% to the GDP of this country. That means we also give, we collect revenue, a lot of it, a lot of revenue, or a lot of monies are coming from the fish mall, and different businesses, the oil palm in Kalangala. So if we give this to the government, give back to us. Give us this fuel, because we expect you to give it to us. And we are thinking they are going to give it to us. These are not going to be makeshifts to be put there and
elephants, as the president said.
White elephants. We don't want these boats to come to Kalangala and our people all they have to do is to take pictures, selfies on the boat. No, we want them to function. If they are to function, they must have fuel. If the government does not wake up and construct a hospital in Kalangala, we shall demand for the fuel, and it shall have to be availed, because the people of Kalangala pay taxes, and they're also human beings and Ugandans like everybody else in the country.
Okay. Thank you so much, Honorable Helen Nachimbuli. Thank you so much for lobbying for the fishing communities in Kalangala. Ivan, you've heard from the chairperson of Parliament, the Parliamentary Committee on Health, who gave a nationwide perspective, because it's also saying, yes, you might have the ambulances, but if the places where these people are taken to they don't have the right equipment, they do not have the personnel, then clearly the person will even die. Then also we have talked to the MPs, we have talked to the LC5 chairman of Kalangala, and we hope that people are going to make use of these marine ambulances, and we hope that they are going to actually save lives. And that's it from me, Ivan.
Well, that's my colleague Joanna Agelo just speaking to some of members of parliament who were able at the launch of the marine ambulance boats that were launched yesterday by the president. But just before we went in for that engagement, I was just making some simple mathematics on my screen here. And I got to know that a Land Cruiser had the top that the Minister of Health uses as an ambulance is a diesel car. It's a diesel vehicle. And I was trying to make simple mathematics that it consumes 1 liter of fuel, takes it 7 to 10 kilometers. And I was making simple mathematics. If 200 liters are used to go to Kalangala, and now each kilometer is each liter is 7 kilometers. That means that for a trip to go to Kalangala and evacuate someone who is in an emergency condition, that will take you a drive from here to Kenya's capital of Nairobi and drive back. And you're left with some fuel, some kilometers. That's less, because from here to Nairobi is 649, and you'll have to drive for 12 hours and 26 minutes on estimate. And so will it be as easy as how you think for the Ministry of Health to sustain the fuel for the marine ambulance boats to be responding to emergencies in Kalangala? That's a question between me and you. It's a question that other people will have to ask. But for this time, I want to say I'm out. A very good morning to you. Imagine if leadership and development was a uniting factor for people towards a certain achievement. When people set aside their political differences and affront a cause that will benefit everyone.
What does Omuntu wa wansi see as development in Entebbe?
Buza meya achegana. Tauni kiraka achegana.
Who is the problem now?
Ensonga ene ejja kuggwa.
That is politics.
Era tetulina kyakulya n'ekya tekigenda kubaawo.
Ate ne President Museveni bannanga akyali baby.
Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. as we discuss matters in Entebbe, the first Uganda's colonial capital, and what it deserves.